Hey, in this video, I'm going to share a little bit about our SBA white glove service and how we can help you prepare to apply and secure an SBA loan. First, a little bit of background. My name's Adam Huxama. I'm the founder of Projection Hub. But before starting Projection Hub, I was the executive director of an SBA lender for 12 years. We closed over 1,500 SBA loans during my time there. And today I'm the owner of Projection Hub, and we help people create financial projections, business plans, and ultimately prepare for SBA loan requests. Since we started the business, we've helped over 50,000 businesses create financial projections. And I'm a small business owner, as you are with my business here. So what we wanted to point out here is that it's actually pretty hard to get an SBA loan. So you might be surprised that less than 0.25% of startups actually receive an SBA loan each year. Now, the percentages aren't that much higher for trying to do an acquisition or even an SBA loan for an existing business. It's really a tough process. But if you follow a proven process, I think you can beat the odds. I think a lot of the challenge that folks have is they kind of do things backwards. And so I think there's really a very specific way that you should approach getting an SBA loan. And that's really these three stages: qualification, preparation, and then the approval and funding. How we think about these real quick. So on the qualification stage, so step one is the qualification stage, and this is really where we determine how much you could qualify for. And I really think this should be the first step. So I've pulled up this little SBA loan calculator here. So what this calculator does is simply takes one input. It's really how much cash or liquid investment do you or the other owners of the business have personally, and that is going to set how much of a loan you might be able to qualify for. So if we said we have $100,000, and you might have heard that you need 10%, a 10% down payment for an SBA loan. So you might have been thinking 10% of $1 million startup project is $100,000. So if you had $100,000 cash, you should be able to get a loan for $900,000 for the other 90%. And that would make some sense. But there's this kind of tricky thing that SBA lenders want. They don't want you to put your last dollar of savings into the business as the down payment. They want you to have excess cash. So they want you to have something called post-closing liquidity, which means after you close the loan, they want to make sure you still have some money left over. So the general rule of thumb I like to think about is a 20% total amount is kind of the cash balance that you're going to need. So if you had $100,000, you take half of that and you use that as your down payment, and the other half is cash or easily liquidated securities that you are just holding on to personally as excess reserves. So if you had $50,000 that could go towards your down payment, that means you could apply for a $450,000 loan to be that 90%. The total project cost in this case would be $500,000. So using this calculator, this is going to really show you how much realistically do I think I could secure in an SBA loan. Now, this doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get that loan amount. This is kind of like best case scenario. How much might you be able to apply for? So I like to start with this because this is a limiting factor. And a lot of times people write a business plan, they work on projections, and they come up with this $1 million idea, but they only have, $50,000 available. All they're going to be able to do is borrow $225,000. So that $1 million idea, all the time they spent building out that business plan and the projections for that, it's not really realistic. And so what we want to do is help make sure that what you are applying for is realistic based on your personal financial situation. Okay, let's dive back in here. So in addition to the capital that you're going to need, there are some other additional qualifications that I just want to make you aware of. You should have a credit score of 650 or higher. You need to have relevant experience in the industry. All owners with 20% or more ownership will need to personally guarantee the loan. So that means if the business goes bankrupt, you personally are still responsible for that loan payment. So you need to be comfortable with that. If you have equity in your home, you should be willing to pledge that as collateral. It may not be required, but in most cases, it is going to be required by the SBA. And this is really just a way to protect taxpayers. Taxpayers are guaranteeing these loans, and so the SBA wants to make sure that you have something to lose and want you to take the loan seriously. You must be a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident. The business must be a for-profit business, and you can't have had any defaults on a federal loan in the past. So no defaults on a federal student loan or an SBA loan in the past. If you can say kind of pass or check the boxes on all of those things, you should be qualifying. You should be able to qualify. So the next step is real preparation. So this is where we're going to help you pull together all the documents that you're going to need. So you're going to need your personal tax returns for the last 3 years, a completed personal financial statement. And this personal financial statement, It's actually, there's quite a bit here, and it's a government form, so it's not the easiest or most straightforward to fill out. Actually, I have like a 25-minute video just on filling out this form. So with our SBA White Glove Service, we're going to help you through this. Make sure you fill this out the correct way so that what you're presenting to the lender is accurate, and that's part of your first impression, so that's important. You're going to need a resume that demonstrates your industry experience. And you're going to need financial projections and a business plan for your startup or acquisition. If it's an existing business, the SBA may not require a business plan unless you are doing a major expansion, in which case they may still want a business plan. So in our SBA White Glove Service, we're doing your financial projections. We're writing your business plan for you based on your plans. We're helping you polish up your resume. We're making sure your PFS, your personal financial statement, is filled out accurately. We're reviewing your tax returns, making sure that there's not anything in there that looks like it's going to be a challenge or hindrance with your loan request. There may be some other things that you will need just in terms of documentation. You might need some pay stubs in order to prove your past personal income, especially if it's a startup. Your franchise disclosure document. So if you are buying into a franchise or starting a franchise, you'll need this franchise disclosure document so that the lender can review that. And then maybe quotes, estimate. What is that going to cost? They want to have that documentation if there's an invoice or an estimate from a contractor for renovations, if you're using the SBA loan for renovations and so on. Once you've gone through all that preparation, we're going to kind of package all of that documentation up and get it ready with a nice bow on it and ready for lenders. And at that point, we help you find the perfect lender. And we do that by using our SBA Lender Finder tool. And so what we've done here is we've taken the publicly available SBA loan data and allowed you to filter and sort it by a bunch of different variables. So we can see just right off the front end here, we can see which banks are the top SBA lenders in the country over the last roughly 5 years. But if we wanted to say, well, we're a startup, so we want to look at what are the top lenders just for startups? And so the list may change. Then if we may want to see, okay, well, we're based in California. And so now we see, okay, the CDC Small Business Finance is now at the top of the list instead of, Huntington Bank was at the top of the list. But in California, there is a specific lender that has 10 times more startup loans than the next closest lender here on the list. So this kind of sorting and filtering and kind of narrowing down to find the exact perfect lender for you is going to be really important, because we don't want to waste your time with a lender that, let's say there's a lender that does a lot of startup loans, but they've never made a loan to a gas station, and you're trying to start a gas station. Probably shouldn't go to them. There are lenders that will lend to just about any industry. You just have to find the right one. And so that's what we're going to help you. And then once you find the right lender, you're going to apply. We're going to be with you along the way. You're likely to get a conditional approval, hopefully, from the lender in a term sheet. And says, yes, we, based on your information, we think we should be able to get this loan approved. And at that point, they may ask you for a good faith deposit. This is just a deposit to say, hey, we don't want you shopping around at 10 different banks, because we're going to go in and do a bunch of underwriting and due diligence work on your business. And we want to make sure that you're serious about working with us as a lender. And so they may ask you for some dollar amount of a deposit, basically, to go with your application. Once you get through underwriting, and you may have questions from the underwriters, and we'll be here and able to try to help answer questions that the underwriters might have. But if you get through that underwriting process, that's when you get your official approval and then move on to closing. So our SBA White Glove Service, we have to limit this because we're doing a lot of work with each client. And so we only accept 2 clients per week. We start with a 30-minute strategy call. So first we kind of pre-qualify you with a form, make sure that it looks like you'd be a good fit. If you look like a good fit, then we'll do a 30-minute strategy call to introduce ourselves and get to know each other. And if we decide, yeah, we'd like to work together, then we'd have you pay a deposit. At that point, we get working on projections and a business plan, pulling all your documentation together, your tax returns, your personal financial statement, resume. And then at that point, once we have that full package all ready to go, we're going to do that lender introduction and really put a polished package in front of the lender. And our guarantee to you is that we're going to be here with you until you approved or until you give up. So sometimes, you may just say, I can't find a lender that is going to work at the terms that I want. And so it may be that you decide, this business is not for me, and that's okay. But if you are going to keep trying, we're going to keep trying with you. So that is our guarantee. So here's for our SBA White Glove Service. It's $3,500, and that includes everything. So that includes us writing your business plan, doing your projections, putting together your package, introducing you to lenders, working with you, going on calls with the lender if you'd like us to be there, communicating, being on emails with the underwriting team or the lender, and they're asking you questions that you don't know how to answer. We're going to be here to help answer and coach you through that. So we're here with you to the very end. If this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, then let's see if you qualify. We'll have you fill out a kind of intake form, make sure that it seems like you're going to be a good fit, and then we'll schedule that strategy call with you and get going from there. All right, thanks.